We're not supposed to have a round table, which will be very short round table, with three experts of film literacy that I'm very proud to have here. And would you like to come to the stage, or would you like to talk? Yeah. And I'm talking about Ian Wall, and Mark Reid, and Nick Walker. Nick Walker is also our national coordinator here in the UK, and we discovered him thanks to Ian, I have to say. And I had a look at the bio of Ian, and it's very intimidating. I'm not sure if I'm saying all these things. I didn't know. I wasn't expecting such a long bio. And he founded film education in 1986 here in the UK. Since 1995, working with the film education TV team, he developed over 50 television programs, both as producer and scriptwriter. He has won 2 BAFTAs, as well as a Learning on Screen Award, and he did so many other things. So he had to be here today to critique something. And then Mark Reid is the head of education at the BFI. I've seen that also the director of education at BFI, Paul Gerhardt, is here. Hi, Paul. And I like to leave the floor to Nick.
Okay, thank you. Well, obviously, these two gentlemen next to me have got a wealth of many, many years, I would say, of experience of working with young people, schools, education, audience development, particularly around European cinema. And I wanted to start off with asking them, this project obviously is partly about getting young people to have, or to reduce the fear of the subtitle, if you like, to be approached to watching films from Europe. What's the importance generally of getting young people introduced to European films early?
Children, before they can read, don't have any prejudice against subtitles. So getting children at the age of 3, 4, 5 years of age introduced to film material from anywhere in the world, from any period in history, it circumvents any prejudice they might have. So I think the importance of children seeing different language material from a very early age is important. And there's a generation in the UK that were exposed to Czech animation in the 60s and 70s. Obviously, we didn't speak any Czech at all, but if stories are powerful and expressive and colourful and the characters are engaging, then the language doesn't matter. It's the language of film that matters.
I think some of the work that you at the BFI have done around primary schools with things like story shorts and stuff like that basically backs up that position. I think our main problem is, they leave primary school at the age of 10, 11, and then they're left in a wilderness, which means that when they get to kind of 15 and 16, the age that you were dealing with them with Fred at school, you start again. And I think all too often that 11 to 13 age group are just ignored, and somehow or other we've got to start addressing that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this film obviously, or the films started looking at sort of windows to different cultures and enabled the students to critically start understanding film as well. It was both. But how important is it to select the right films? I mean, obviously these films are selected from the Lutz Prize, which are quite, they're curated to entertain as well, but also to instruct. They're very hard-hitting.
Shall I kick off on that one? Yeah, I mean, from the experience we had over the years with National Schools Film Week, we had to kind of nurture. Firstly had to nurture the teachers. We automatically assume that teachers watch European film. Well, they don't. Certainly not in the UK. There will be some who do, but it's quite frightening the number who don't. So you need to get the teachers' confidence, first of all, that they will take their students either to a cinema or screen something, and that there will be some sort of pleasure in it for the students. And therefore we developed a kind of repertoire of films that we knew 15, 16, 17-year-olds would engage with. And it was actually the teachers who wanted to then start to go beyond that repertoire of films once they'd seen that their students once they saw that their students overcame their fear of subtitled films, I think that's an interesting experience that Fred has brought up. You know, it took 4 films before they got to that position whereby, yeah, right, we're looking forward to this. We've overcome all of the issues around not just European film, but any subtitled film.
We showed Shunli the Poet last year to a group of 45 Muslim girls who were 14, 15 years old, 20 students from Somerset in the West Country, rural college, and 20 Norwegian teenagers, all at the same time. And I thought, is this film about a Chinese migrant worker who meets an old fisherman? Is this going to have anything to offer this group of teenagers? And they absolutely loved it. It was a fantastic moment, and it reminded me that young people don't always need to see films which feature young people. If the stories are powerful and dramatic, they will engage with them. And also, they don't always need to see films that are based in their own neighbourhood, their own culture, their own society. Young people, like the rest of us, are curious. Human beings are curious animals. And to show, to give opportunities to find out other things about the world, I think film does that better than any other medium. We just have to trust young people that they will engage with films so long as they're well made. I think that it's important that we're not showing them films because they are about migration or because they're about poverty or because they're about disadvantage. They have to be well made, powerful stories with engaging characters, and then young people will watch and enjoy.
I think that's right, and you certainly don't want to put people off at an early age. That's the worst thing you do. I just want to also ask briefly about the difficulty, and we've seen this from the different approaches in terms of the different approaches to film literacy in different countries. We had 8 countries, 9 languages, and also the different cultural perspectives of both the teachers, as Ian said, but also the students' perception in terms of their relevant, looking at different stereotypes and that. How important is it to start looking at comparable or measurable outcomes, or maybe some sort of benchwork? And obviously you're involved with the framework for film education there.
Well,
Yeah, sure.
could just say something about this, because it's also funded by Creative Europe Media Programme, and the only reason for bringing it into the room and showing it is because Fred at School, I think, exemplifies a number of the elements of the framework that we put together. 25 people. It was Ian and Sarah Duver in Germany came up with the idea. We coordinated it. And they're in the foyer. There's a bunch of them out there for people to take away. So one of the things that we were trying to do was to set out the kinds of experiences and the kinds of learning outcomes that anybody going through a film education process might come to in order to be film literate, to feel film literate. And there are a couple of dimensions, I think, in here which are worth connecting to Fred at School. One of them is the importance of wider engagement with film, and that's in order to develop one's film literacy, then being curious, being adventurous, choosing things that you might not have chosen before. I think it seems that Fred at School has done that really, really well. Yeah. It takes time. 4 viewings, 4 different films over a school year. I think that's absolutely the way to do it. The second dimension is that we've got in here is the importance of developing a critical response, a sense of your likes and dislikes and tastes and judgments, and your confidence in engaging with it and speaking about that. And Fred at School has done that as well. I think it's made the environment social, it's made exchanges possible between young people, and they've shown that they really value that, and that they develop in their confidence and their ability to articulate what they're enjoying and what they're learning and what they're understanding through films that they might not have chosen otherwise.
Can I just ask Ian, just to add on to that, I mean, is therefore one of the great things about Fred and also the framework is that there's a legacy to people's engagement. You know, they're becoming far more able to be critical about the films, but also confident in their expressing of their opinion.
There are kind of far too many legacies going on, I think, in a lot of programs, as opposed to sustaining programs. The research that was fed back earlier on, you know, is based on 4 months. Why isn't it based on 3 years? Why isn't there a commitment to longer term projects? And I think we're kind of faced with that issue. Yeah, there may be a legacy. We won't know.
Yeah.
Because there may not be the money to find out when in 3 or 4 years' time whether those young people have extended their curiosity, as Mark
Yeah.
was saying, have started to see other sorts of films. And I think coming out of the framework, and also certainly coming out of the Fred project, is that centrality of teachers to any media literacy film education strategy. And at the heart of any further developments, I think, something needs to be addressed, and that is teacher training and teacher involvement. And that is an immense challenge.
That's the way to make any kind of program sustainable. If you invest in a teacher, then a teacher will have those skills and that experience for 10, 20, 30 years. It's rather than 4 months.
Yeah.
The investment in teachers is absolutely crucial.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're just about time. Thank you very much. I'd like to give a round of applause for Ian and Mark. Thank you.